Hey everybody, this is Alex Fabrica, and welcome back to Teaching Tips Tuesday. I hope everybody had a wonderful summer. I know I'm excited to be back doing these interviews and getting the information out to everybody. Today we have with us Alex Olson. She is the Director of Education and Vision Services with CCVI. How are you doing today, Alex?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing very well. First of all, what a great name you have.
I know.
Alex's of the world unite. So what do you folks do at CCVI?
So, CCVI is a private nonprofit organization in Kansas City, Missouri, and we serve children birth through third grade right now in center-based programming, in itinerant programming, in the home, and we provide early intervention and preschool, kindergarten, first grade services.
Great. That's a lot like what we do here at FBC. It sounds like we're
Yes.
pretty similar organizations. So I understand that we are here to talk about CVI a little bit today and how it doesn't always necessarily present the same way from kid to kid.
Right. One size does not fit all for CPI.
You're telling me not every single kid needs just yellow and red and that's it, and then problem solved?
No, there are so many different things that come into play when you're talking about CVI. There are, some kids might want something green, and then in your little TBI brain, you might panic and go, I don't have anything green in my car. Or, just looking at processing time or different environmental accommodations or how a child likes to have things presented. There's such a range of different abilities within CVI that it's really interesting to see all of the different characteristics and how they can present with different kids.
So let's say I just got a new kid with CVI added to my caseload. Where should I start?
I would say if you have the IEP and the functional vision evaluation, that is a good place to start. That way you can look at, really where their visual preferences are, find out things that they like, find things that motivate them, and use that to your advantage. Obviously, if they're brand new on your caseload, you are going to be novel yourself. So having the ability to make yourself less novel by incorporating things that are really familiar to them, and using, colors and light and movement in ways that they need and want and respond really well to, I think are some key factors.
Now, what if there's no FEA, there's no IEP? I guess I'm the TVI, so I'm gonna do an FEA soon
Right.
enough. But what would your tips be for determining these visual preferences?
So I would just see how the child interacts within their environment. Start really basic. Ask their teacher if there's something that they have been really drawn to in the classroom. If the child is able to communicate with you, ask the child. They can tell you what their favorite toy is or what their favorite color is. And if not, start with a book, a simple book, and see how far you can take it with complexity, or if there is a certain shape or a certain color on a page that they're really paying attention to. You can look at it a million different ways and really see and kind of gauge what their preferences are, and then use that to your advantage to kind of move forward.
Absolutely. Do you have any pet peeves in the CVI world?
Oh man. Um, Not every kid will want or like red or yellow. And yeah, just treating the child instead of the diagnosis, I think is a big thing for me. Looking at the different processing disorders, thinking about Down syndrome or autism or, other processing disorders that they might present like CVI, or they might not. And, we can use different strategies and incorporate different things to make sure that these kids are successful and make sure that we set them up to be productive in their classrooms and that we give them the right tools so that they can get their work done.
Now, I have often heard that CVI and autism present very similarly. Would you agree with that?
They can sometimes, yes. There are definitely characteristics that can be seen as similar, and there can be characteristics that look different. I don't think that we as a field should be tied to, this is strictly only for CVI kids and this is strictly only for children with autism. I think that we can look at the child and see what works best for them. And if we have an autism strategy that works for a child with CVI, we're going to use it. I mean, it's really something that we just really need to think about the child and what's going to make them successful.
Now, I once had a student with CVI, and the first time I walked into this kid's elementary school classroom, the visual clutter in there was, I mean, there was 2 square inches of white wall that was not covered with Disney characters or murals. I mean, it was clearly the teacher was so excited and put in so much work. How do you go in and say, hey, I really need you to take down most of
Yeah.
this for the visual clutter aspect?
Yeah. So what I would typically do is put a black trifold board in front of them and ask them what they can see. And ask them, is this how you want your child in your classroom to have to live every day? Because for you to have, Disney and colorful and everything like that up on the walls, this is what it will take for your student with CVI to be successful in your classroom. And, can you see me walking across the room up there? Can you see what's behind the blackboard? Can you talk to your friend that's next to you around this blackboard? Things like that. It's so much more than just the academic piece. We want to put that barrier down. I mean, it's a physical barrier, right? We want to be able to put that down so that this child can participate just like every other child in the classroom and whisper to their friend or something like that. Like the social aspect of school is so important, and by limiting them with that black trifold board just for decorative purposes is kind of silly.
So you're showing that teacher it's either take down the decorations or that kid is living in this trifold.
Right, they're living in a
Okay.
black bubble, basically.
Yeah, not great for that social skills area of the ECC.
No.
Certainly not. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on today to talk to us about CVI. It is becoming more and more prevalent, more commonly diagnosed. It feels like every year I have a higher and higher percentage of CVI kids on my caseload. So I know there's lots of questions about this.
Thank you so much for having me.
I have one more question for you, and that is,
Okay.
what is your favorite part of your job?
Oh, the kids. I know everybody probably says that. The kids and the families, being out of a 100% direct service provider role, in my position now, I feel I get to interact a lot more with the families, but I do still get to interact with the kids, and being able to give those families hope, give them answers, give them resources, and get to interact with the kids and try new things, and see progress. That's everything for me. Just being able to interact with them and give them resources and everything is why I love my job.
You know, it's crazy. No one ever says IEP writing when I ask that question. Remarkably. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on again, Alex.
Thank you.
And thank you so much to everybody at home who gave this a watch. We are so excited to be back with Teaching Tips Tuesday. Slight change on our schedule. We're going to do a new every other week. So this week it'll be Teaching Tips Tuesday. Next week it'll be a Tech Tip Tuesday. We should figure out different acronyms. TTT for both of them is going to be kind of confusing. But I look forward to seeing you in another 2 weeks. Have a great rest of your week.